We are here with lyle-phile and KillTrain. So we're just going to give you a little introduction to the game here. You're in New York, and well, I'll let you give them a little overview of the story here while we go through the kind of starting area.
Alright guys, so as you can see here, we're in a, well, at least a portion of New York here. Basically what the idea, the background of the story is New York is in shambles, and we're part of a government military force called GTF, and we're going into New York to probably try to put it back together, essentially, get it back, get civilization back together and recover what we can. Essentially what happened is a terrorist organization on, I believe it was Black Fridays, it is the idea, managed to get a disease spread onto a bunch of currency, and so on Black Friday the most currency gets circulated, and so this disease passed on to everyone in New York. Like, it just wiped out the city basically. And then since then everything's kind of went to shambles. There's a lot of rioting groups, there's a lot of raider groups and things like that, so we're basically here to try to help put everything back together, get everything started from scratch again.
So this is kind of where we enter into the main area here. Camp Hudson it's called. So you'll notice people here now, there's little
and following the instructions of health officials, you can protect yourself, your family, and the community against
announcements from the camp there. So you'll notice these people here, these are other players in the world. This is a massive multiplayer online shooter, so you'll notice other people in the world. You can gear up with, or group up with them, squad up, and it's actually much more fun and much more effective to do so. So you'll notice first thing when you come in here, there's a gear vendor on the right. This, you can talk to him by holding square, and you'll bring up this interface here. Now, the gear will have different stats on them. They will affect your damage, your health, and your skill power, which affects different abilities that you can get, which we'll go over in a little bit here. Now, there's different types of gear, there's all sorts, so we'll go over kind of the interface for the inventory and everything like that shortly as well. We'll just continue on here and show you what else is in this camp. So you'll want to keep coming this way. And on the right here we have another weapons vendor. I'll let Lyle kind of show you what he might have to offer there.
Alright. So when you hop into the weapons vendor, you can see the same kind of menu pop up, obviously, but you're gonna have different types of weapons. You have your main weapons. You're gonna be able to have two main weapons on you at a time, and then one sidearm. And these go from obviously your different pistols or your sidearms, and then your main weapons can be anything from submachine guns, assault rifles, shotguns, marksman rifles, and light machine guns. Again, when we're going over the inventory and everything, we're going into a little bit more detail, but you also see, you saw this on the armor as well before, but on this you can see it with the weapons. There's green weapons and blue weapons, and on the world you also find gray weapons and really rare weapons are purple.
When's the proper game out?
And basically it's like a ranking system. You see the same sort of thing in games like Destiny, where the rarity of the weapon is ranked by a color system, and that also gives it certain attributes, added stats and things like that. You can see, as an example in this one, it shows that there's an expert stat, so it's adding 100% more damage when the target is below 30% health if you have a weapon.
And you'll notice just underneath that as well, it's got ferocious. Now on my screen here, I don't actually have that because it requires your skill power to be at a certain number, or your electronics rather. So mine's not high enough, so that actually doesn't take effect. So I will have to get that up before that will take effect. So that's kind of the neat part about the weapon talents there. Now, right next to him, you'll also have a restock cache. You can find these out in the world and in safe zones. They just let you pick up all your ammo, refill it. There's also a little laptop here for matchmaking. So if you don't have anybody on your friends list to play with at the current time, you can just go to that. There's two options, free roam and dark zone. So those are just kind of categories for the type of group that you're going to find. People set those when they make a group, things like that, so you can try one of them and it'll find a group for you. Definitely very handy when you don't have anybody to play with at the time. So continuing on to the left here, just across from the weapons vendor. Actually, that guy's just kind of standing there.
Yeah, because this person, because we went through the intro, it doesn't come up for us. Periodically while you're playing, it'll show up for you. These people here, there's another one in the main headquarters, which we'll eventually show you here. They give you like your side missions, your side quests, and random intel around the area for you to go around and find. There's also bounty boards, essentially. Again, it's just they're called side quests in this. But you get your main first ones from this lady here, and she actually has some funny commentary to give while you're there. I would actually suggest, as a completely side note, listen to the NBC's commentary. It's actually pretty funny.
It actually really is. Some of them are pretty good. Now, the graphics in this are pretty good. They're not, like, mind-blowing, but they are pretty excellent. The weather effects are kind of terrifying, actually. They have snow, and you can literally see down the street at one point, and then 10 seconds later, you can't see 5 feet in front of you. So it's pretty cool in that effect that if you're in a firefight and a snowstorm hits, it's pretty intense. As you can see there, the sunshine is pretty awesome in this, actually, and it changes fairly frequently, so it keeps it kind of fresh.
Yeah, I really like the weather effects in this, and the lighting effects are really nice as well.
So over here we have a stash, and this is used essentially as a secondary inventory. You can open it up here, and these are things that are already in my stash. There's a tab in the top right that you can see. So right now I'm on my stash. If I tab over to my inventory, it shows everything that I have on me.
Thanks, I'll be sure to try and pick it up.
Hit square to send that to my stash, or I can equip it straight from there. I can press triangle to compare them to my current item that I have equipped. So there's a lot of stuff that you can just do straight from that interface. Then you can also go to your stash and send things to your inventory. You can also deconstruct things for crafting, which will be something in the full game. It's not in the beta, so we can't really give you an overview of that right now. There's also an extracted tab, which are for items from the dark zone, which we can talk about in a couple minutes here as well. So there's also this board here. I think at the beginning of the game, when you come through here, there's nothing there for us right now, but you can stop here and pick up a bunch of encounters or side missions as well. So definitely stop and pick those up, because it'll put a bunch of different stuff on your map to go out and do and get experience and everything. So Lyle, you might want to give them a brief overview of the map there.
The billboard portion here, or the actual map?
Well, if you just bring up the actual map there, I guess they'll be looking at mine, but we will kind of try and find some stuff here. So there's a side mission here. But yeah, I just have the map up if you want.
Sort of shortly ahead here. See, when you bring up the map, that's actually one of my favorite things. But when you bring up the map, it actually shows like the city structures in your area and everything, and it shows you where you are initially. When you start moving around, you'll disappear. But yeah, you're gonna see all your different encounters in the area, and you can just press X to place a waypoint on that, and it's gonna bring up. There's also, you see on the very bottom right there, it says toggle GPS. You can turn on or off a interface that essentially, like, if I go ahead and select that mission, Alright, it's going to start telling me about that mission, and then if you look up top there, there's that arrow that's showing me where to go. That's the toggle GPS function that I was talking about in the bottom right. Basically, it's a really handy thing, and I think people that are picky about having too much clutter in the screen will be worried about that mostly. But really what's... this lady that's talking to me is distracting me, I'm sorry. She needs to stop talking. But yeah, I think you can turn it on and off for people that think the clutter's a bit much on top, because it can get a bit much. We have most of the HUD stuff off. There's usually a map on the top left, and usually have the HUD beside you that you can bring up where we have it on auto hide. So it does kind of feel cluttered sometimes, so you might want to turn off the GPS function. I find it very, very handy to navigate with. On top of that, when you're going around on the map, obviously there's always the zooming in and out features, and you can kind of see what's eventually what the size of the map will be. And there's been some complaints on the way they promised everything. It seems like the map's going to be a little bit smaller than what was shown at the original E3. But that being said, once you start walking around and moving around here, you start to realize how big it is still. Like, it's still a ton of stuff to navigate. You're moving around on foot. It's not like you're driving around or anything like that. And it's, I'm really satisfied with the size of it. And on top of that, with the size of things, getting around on foot can be tedious. So if you do need to move around quickly, you can go over it if you've already been to the base of operations or other key areas. You can hover over that or a player and press square to fast travel. Press X and you're just going to start traveling there immediately. So we're going to move on. I'm going to start heading my character on over to the base of operations so we can give a little tour of that.
Alrighty. I'm on my way. So we're going to zoom in on the map here. I'm going to hit square to start the fast travel, and then I'm going to press X to confirm it. It does take about a minute here to load. There's also tips on the left there, so be sure to always read them, because there's some stuff that you don't really realize when you first start playing, and they can definitely help.
If you are somewhat close by to an area, I would honestly just recommend walking. I would recommend walking most of the times, but if you do want to move a good amount of distance fairly quickly, there's a bit of a loading screen, but it's definitely worth the fast travel.
Definitely. There is the little icon just under where it says loading that tells you an approximate kind of how far through you are, but it does take quite a while, so if you're within any reasonable distance, definitely just run it. Alrighty, so when you start going through here, as you'll notice, Lyle just disappeared. It puts you in your own instance of your secure area. So we're going to go in here, your safe zone rather. It tells you how much of your base you have restored. So the point of doing encounters, missions, things like that, is to gain supplies for each wing of your safe zone. So in the beta, there's only 20% of the medical wing and 20% of the tech wing that you can actually unlock. The security wing is locked down. You'll notice at the top it says base restoration 13%, upgrades 4 of 30. So those are different upgrades that you can put into your safe zone, and they will unlock different abilities for you to use out while you're just running around doing stuff. So there's also upgrades to them, which we haven't really seen too much on, and then there's a little icon that says not available in beta, so we aren't really sure what that is quite yet. So to start moving in here, it does make you walk anytime you're in this little area. Once you get into this tunnel, it'll start moving a little faster. So you'll notice that if you're in a squad, you can see each other on the mini-map, but you just won't be able to see each other in the actual zone. So I'll kind of follow Lyle around on the map here and let him give you a walkthrough.
So the first thing you're going to notice when you walk in here is, A, it's right to your left immediately. You have a restock thing.
Don't get too cocky.
Oh, I mean, A, first thing about this game, every time you come across these, if you're not already full restock your ammo, because if you run out of ammo with one of your weapons out there, it can get pretty quickly. So you want to stay on top of your ammo. Moving forward, you already have you have another stash. Same thing as the one we were going over earlier, so you can go and work with your inventory there. On the floor, if you look on the floor with something really quick, it's something that wasn't really obvious at first, but as soon as you realize it, it's like, oh, that's kind of clever, I like that. You can see the 3 different colored lines. The blue one going to the right, the yellow one going kind of straight forward, and the green one that cuts off to the left. Those represent the different bays that we were talking about earlier. You can see up above to the right there a little bit. You have that same diagram we saw. I saw our medical wing, our tech wing, and our security wing with prog. And basically, to go and actually work with these, you follow one of these lines. I'm going to follow the green one to the med bay to kind of show you what it is. And it's going to take you into where the med bay is.
It's not a good time right now.
In these different places, you're going to find, like you can see on where I am here, there's a survival guide, and on my screen it says 1 of 6. And that's just one. I mean, I found one of survival guides that's out in the city somewhere. So you'll see like progress of and everything else. You can see that right behind that on the other side, this is an offline pharmacy. That's one of the upgrades that we're not able to get in the beta right now, but you would eventually be able to get in the game to progress your abilities and mods and other things that you can use in the field. Walking forward, you can see it says the medical wing 20% operational, supplies are at 160, and upgrades are at 2 out of 10. The supplies are what you collect in the field towards your upgrade. And once you have enough supplies to get an upgrade, you walk over to the laptop that's positioned beside it. And once it comes up, once you come up to that menu there, you're going to see the different upgrades that you can get. And in the beta here, there's a lot of them that are blanked out. You can see the 2 ones that we have upgraded here, the clinic and the quarantine. The clinic gives you the first aid skill and a perk for med kits. And the quarantine gives you some mods for your pulse scan, which just gives you more than just the base pulse scan mod that you get. So we'll go over in a second here. And further perk rewards. So basically, each of your different bays, your tech bay, your med bay, and your security bay, are going to have these features. But they'll affect different skill trees in your ability lists.
So I will pull up that ability list here and give you a brief overview of that. So it does say I have an unlocked mod for one of my skills. Mods expand and enhance your skills with new features. So that's what those upgrades do. Now, you'll notice there's 3 different trees of abilities. On the left you have your medical, in the middle you have your tech, and on the right you have security. Now that will always be the case. When you see those lines on the floor, the locations in the building and everything, it's always medical on the left, tech in the middle, and security on the right. So the medical bay, by installing the clinic, upgraded, I believe, our first aid and gave us that ability. So you'll notice here that I have the base ability unlocked, but no modifications. Now, if I go up to the pulse, that's what the quarantine unlocked. Now, because we unlocked the quarantine, we have the base pulse, which sends out a recon pulse that marks hostiles and allies through walls and covers. And then the upgrade unlocked the mods for it. So that would be the recon pack, which increased range and is capable of locating nearby loot containers. You have the scrambler, which protects the user and all allies from hostile pulse scans. And the tactical scanner, which damage is increased when attacking any hostile targets identified by the pulse scan. So that's essentially a buff for you and your allies while you're attacking people. So as you upgrade your base, you're going to unlock more modifications and more abilities. So you'll see here under security, we have the ballistic shield. No modifications for that because the security wing is locked down and we can't upgrade it. There's also abilities here that we can't unlock in the beta. So in security, you have your smart cover, your mobile cover, and your survivor link. Under tech, you have your seeker mines and your tactical link. And medical, you have a support station and a recovery link. So I'm not too sure what those links are going to be. I don't know if that's something for squads, but we will find out in the full game on March 8th. So once you've unlocked these abilities, you can press square to actually equip the mods. And then you select one and press X. And then you actually need to select an ability and equip it to a slot. You can do this by pressing X and either press L1 or R1 to designate which slot you want that ability to go in. And then anytime you do that, whenever you press whichever assigned slot, it will use that ability. A note is that things like the first aid, the turret, things like that, you can hold the button down and it will show a highlighted area on the map where it's actually going to land and deploy. So definitely aim them first and kind of plan where you want it to deploy. One other thing to note in this menu is in the top you have your skills, your talents, and your perks. Each level you get a skill point, or sorry, not a skill point, a talent point, and those are locked in the beta right now, but I imagine they will be talents very similar to any other game, where they'll just increase certain aspects of your abilities, or your stats.
And for example, like if you actually do hover over the one talent thing right there, I think they purposely showed you to give you a taste of what you can see. If you watch the menu, it glitches out. But eventually you can actually see it saying that the one perk that you could get at first would be the adrenaline perk. And it says that basically if you already have full health and you use a med kit, you can overheal yourself. Now it also says at the bottom that it's going to use overheal and it affects agents. So it's just a personal thing. It's a personal trait that you can affect yourself with one that people further customize your loadout basically. And kind of the same thing with the perks. When you hop over to that one, it also gives you kind of like the sneak peek idea. And so that one is the perks that would be unlockable is increasing your medkit inventory by 1 slot. So little things like that. But ultimately, things to work towards, and it really does bring out a tactical aspect to things. You can build up a certain loadout and then work with your party to each have your specific perks, talents, and skills to ensure that you have all your bases covered. And it's actually it's something in a shooter like this that is really cool to see. You see it in the older MMOs, but it's not in this style.
Exactly. And for instance, if Lyle was to take the pulse and the medical, I could take the ballistic shield and the turret, and that way I could have a shield and a turret to kind of cover us defensively, and Lyle can make sure that we're always full health and tell us where enemies are. So you want to use each other's abilities and perks and everything to your advantage. Because you can change them at any time, it's definitely recommended to kind of plan each situation before you go in.
For sure. But yeah, communication is definitely key in this game. If you have a well-communicating team, you would be surprised what you can do to both AI. Like, it's really fun to take down AI bases, just because who doesn't like being a little bit overpowered here or there? And sometimes it's not even being overpowered. You just feel like a well-oiled team, you know. But even with against the PvP aspect in the Dark Zone, it's key. Like if you have a well-communicating team, you can really take down some people out there if you need to.
Alrighty, so that's the kind of brief overview of the area you're gonna come into, as well as your base that you're gonna set up once you get into town. Let us know what else you guys want to see, and we can give you an overview of those as well. Alrighty, thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back with some more videos for you guys. Take it easy.